Hello again. Today I watched a video, it was yesterday, and I actually posted it on the Coffee Chat site. I think it's called Fuck Talent. And the guy Stefan Molyneux in the video, he goes through the idea that, the concept that a lot of people have of talent is, think about the talent scouts, the people who go look for talent, but he talks about, you got so much talent, that person has so much talent. He makes the point that it's way overrated because it doesn't really, for the most part, exist. There's something to be said for, if somebody like him is a 48-year-old man who's bald, he's probably not going to be a hair model. But aside from that, for the most part, most of the things that people do, like playing guitar, learning how to write, speak, and so on, is provided that there's normal, fairly, average intelligence. It's almost nothing to do with talent. There's been lots of evidence that shows that this 10,000 hour thing, if somebody does something consistently, especially if they're properly tutored and so on, for 10,000 hours, they'll be good at it. And he was making the point that people would come up to him and say, you know how to speak so well, and you know so much about philosophy. He did a calculation at one point, and between all of his studies in university and reading on his own and psychological counseling and all sorts of stuff, he had 30,000 hours into philosophy and speaking and what have you. So, it's not, and he points out that in grade school and what have you, he wasn't an exceptional student or anything. He wasn't imbued with this great reservoir of talent that other people don't have. I think there's something to be said for that. And even if there is, so what? It's like the controllables and the uncontrollables, right? I want to say the similar thing to genes and environment. Fuck genes and environment. Environment we can change to a certain extent. We can go to another place, but the environment around us moves with us. I always said, I've tried going to different places, and the problem is that I got to bring myself with me, and that's the biggest environment. That's the problem. And genes, that is a huge cop-out that a lot of people have. They talk about their metabolism is in their genes and all this sort of stuff. It's bullshit. For the most part, it's bullshit. And the aspect of it that is true, it's like, so what? I used to know this guy, every time we'd have a discussion, it would always seem to devolve into this nihilistic, deterministic concept of, that person is something, or that was just lucky, or what have you. And granted, some of that stuff is the case, but so the hell what? What has that got to do with anything? Once we recognize that there's controllables and uncontrollables, let's just work on the controllables. And to hell with the uncontrollables. So there is genetics in there. Fuck it. Leave it alone. Do the best with what we got. And it's really, what holds us back in so many ways. We just, we see it all the time. We see it in ourselves and everything else. It's like we want to improve our health. We want to improve our looks. So, put makeup on and get certain haircuts and get certain suits and stuff, because that's kind of like a quick fix, right? And then we convince ourselves, well, I can't do anything else anyways because I'm genetically predisposed not to be able to, that I have to eat this certain high-fat meat and so on, and I have to, for my body type, and I have to, I can't exercise because of my hips or something like that, when there's other alternatives and so on. And it's not an answer to what's really going on. What's really going on is that we've convinced ourselves of this nihilistic way of looking at life. And actually that's one of the benefits, I think. Although there's all kinds of nonsense in religion, most religions, mainstream religions, at least they teach the concept of free will, that we have free will to act according to the things that we can act upon. So that's something to take with, keep with the bathwater, or keep that baby from throwing out the bathwater of religion. Keep those things, those aspects that we have this free will to act upon the controllables in our lives and do the best with that. And to hell with the other stuff. To hell with the stories that people tell us, no matter how professional they are, or they say they are, how many numbers and letters they have behind their names. If they're telling us that we're sort of stuck in a mold, or we're telling ourselves that, and we're getting people to support that, we have to check ourselves, I would say, to say, hang on a second here, where am I going with this? Because there seems to be no end to possible improvement that we can make. And so I just wanted to put that out there, to fuck with these things, these uncontrollables. And the other thing too is that there's lots of evidence now that, when we do actually change an aspect of ourselves, other things change. So what we thought was genetics was not genetics at all. So people who have like messed up metabolism, so that they say they look at food and they get fat, most of it is because they've messed up, knowingly or unknowingly, usually unknowingly, they've messed up their own metabolism because they've listened to all these wingnut ideas on diets, and they've been eating all this low carb stuff, which is just BS. I mean, the body was meant to run on starch, on carbs, on sugar. That's what our bodies are meant to run on. And you get all these people running around now saying you eat sugar and you shouldn't eat sugar, you should eat lots of fat, you should eat lots of protein. Nonsense. The body is not designed. Protein it's like a cult right now, I'm telling you. I did research one time. Mother's milk, human mother's milk. If I remember correctly, I have to look it up. It must be my first book that I've written, which is right here. Optimum Health. First book I've ever written. That in there, I got it written down there somewhere, but I believe it's 4%. 4% protein in mother's milk. Now, whatever your belief is in creation, right? For whatever it is, I'm not going to go there at all, but there is obviously it would be hard to argue with what nature has delivered as a perfect food for a brand new born baby. And yet, interestingly enough, whatever put it there, however it got there, it is extremely low level of protein in there. And we're told by the common sense out there that if we want to maintain body structure and to grow and to get stronger and all this, we have to have lots of protein. But you look at a newborn baby, it doubles in size in a very short period of time on very low protein. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that very interesting? But we're not told this stuff. We're not told this stuff. More on that later. If you have questions, you can ask me. I've got a little bit of insight into this, I hope, as to why this is. But, I mean, the world is full of bullshit, and there's usually a salesman on the other end of that bullshit, almost always, selling us some sort of voodoo medicine or politics or what it is. They're selling us something. And one of the methods that they use to sell is this victimhood, that you can't do anything because you are stuck in some sort of genetics or lack of talent or your environment or whatever. And here I am to save you from that. And that is a nihilistic approach, I would say, because we ain't stuck. There's always lots of things that we can do in the controllable side of our lives. And that's the thing we can work on, I would suggest. Hope this is helpful. Once again, if you like the video, click the like down below. Apparently that helps to get the word out that you liked it. And make a comment, questions, whatever you want. Steve here again. Sign off for now. Talk to you again soon.